stressed out, close to the limit, then warmly welcome to The Cool Way to Calm, the podcast where you find the fun, easy, odd, exotically Scandinavian, and of course, cool way to change the route in your leadership. This is a safe space for executives and leadership people to learn more and get ideas and get a moment of peace and calm in their hectic and fast running everyday lives. This pod is run by me, Dr. Annika, a Swedish medical doctor who has changed focus from illness to health, now helping stressed and busy executives, leaders find calm, feel less stress, get more done, have more fun, and create bigger success. In this pod, I will discuss with my guests or by myself about challenges in leadership, in the workplace, around employees, clients, the economy, and everything else that can come in the way. And today I have the honor to present a friend and you can say kind of colleague of mine. We met on the Be Connected platform a little more than a couple of years ago. I'm not really sure exactly when. She's in the States, in USA, and I am in Europe. And it has been a great combination for getting different perspectives on things. And we have not met in real life yet, but we will hopefully do in the future. And the real life meetings, they are really good. I think it's so nice to see people in the real life. But this is good enough for now. And she is a certified coach through the Whole Person Coaching Institute and have been coaching high achieving professionals and entrepreneurs for 10 plus years or so, and helping them in the search for a more fulfilling life. So let me introduce Shawna Burkholder. And please tell the audience a little bit more about who you are, so your background and how you come to where you are today.
Well, it is my honor to be here, and I really appreciate this invitation from you because your whole premise and what you are doing is so aligned with what I do. And for the people watching or listening to the podcast, I'm assuming what's bringing them here is that appeal to being more calm, that they are leaders and they have stress, and we all have stress, and we will continue. So this is not a magic wand that's going to make all stress disappear forever. But what brought me to this point is, had I known you, let's say I'm doing the math, about 15 years ago, I would have been looking for you because I was that stressed out, burned out, candle at both ends, as the saying goes. Executive leader. I had a team. I was on the executive team. I led a team. I just shouldered a lot of responsibilities for my organization, and I knew that there was pressure, and I excelled at being, or what I want to say, at being that go-to person that could get things done, that was dependable. I was blind to how the stress was creeping into my life until it got to the point where it was undeniable and I needed help. And I did receive help from two types of professionals. One was an actual physician, a naturopath, who did tests and found my levels of cortisol and cholesterol and other things, medical things, that said, ooh, you may not see the symptoms because you present as very healthy and energetic, but under the surface, you're a mess, girl. And I was like, no, what? And I was still in denial. Oh, no, I'm not. What do I need to do? How do I fix this? I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to ask you to fix my illness. Then I also went to go see a counselor who was helping me with recognizing and changing some of my behavior. And again, initially I was very closed off. I was like, and she was wonderful about, well, couldn't you talk to the executive, the boss, my CEO, and see if you can have some time off? You need a break. And, oh, that'll never happen. There's too much work. I had an excuse for everything. But thankfully, I had her, because at the point that I realized I couldn't handle it and the weight of my choices was crushing me, I was able then to be more open. So that's why I chose to become a life coach, to work with executives, because a lot of the things that the pressures that we feel, we create ourselves. They are choices, they are our behaviors. And there may be and often there's an interlay with medical conditions. And I make sure that I advise people to seek medical support when needed. But sometimes I wouldn't go to my naturopath weekly. Let's just put it that way. I was going regularly, but not weekly. But I did go to get help and have a support group that helped me change my behaviors, that got me out of that dark place that I had moved into. And I'm happy to talk about more specifics and phases of burnout, which is what I specialize in.
Yeah, and you are the typical example of how this presents in people. We don't want to see it in ourselves. And if someone tells us that we are stressed, we say, oh, no, 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 not me. I am fully fine. I can do it. And yeah, I'll do one more thing. No problem. No problem. And most bosses in that situation are also very scared of that, the fact that they might be called mentally ill.
Oh,
because stress is seen as some kind of mental illness. And in my world, in the medical field, I see stress as part of our physical behavior. That's how we function.
Right.
And everyone has the same stress system, more or less occupied, so to speak. But we all have the same. So we just have to learn how it works and become friends with it. But we're going to have it till we die, because with no stress system, no stress system, you are dead. Because
no life. Yes.
You can't live without the stress hormones. They are keeping us standing up. So there will never be a pill taking those off the chart.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And as an executive, for the people who are here with us, sometimes that stress is good. We thrive on it, right? It's what's helped us get to the position of where we are, that professional, that executive, that I call them overachievers. You don't have to be an overachiever. You can be an achiever, but it's a spectrum, just like many things, right?
And everything in life is the spectrum.
Exactly. And there's a sweet spot in the middle where you'll always have stress unless you're dead. And then you're going to have stress to the point where it can become mental health issue, and you need to seek professional help, probably even before you get to that stage. But what I hope to be able to do is share some insight about where to stay in that sweet spot where we're using stress to our advantage, and it's not eroding our life, our health, our relationships, those types of things.
Yeah. And I think I lost what I was going to say.
We were talking about the continuum, the spectrum.
I know. No, let's go on.
Okay.
Tell me just what this Whole Person Coaching Institute was that, and how did that help you?
Well, I recognized, there's a couple things that it resonated with me when I decided I wanted to become a life coach. And that's a pretty generic term. And a lot of people, and now I think it's even 15 years ago, or, still a lot of people don't know what a life coach is. They know a music coach, they know a sports coach, those types of coaches. And I was researching different places that provided certification for a life coach, and I it was near me. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and in another metropolitan city, a woman was part of this institute that offered a certification in what she called whole life, because we're integrated, right? It like, if you're going to be a music coach, you're only going to coach about music and teach
Yeah.
people to play an instrument. You're not going to do sports, right? But
No.
when it comes to life, it's our work, it's our relationships, it's our relationship with ourselves, it's our relationship with our religious beliefs or spiritual belief system. It's all integrated. And if you're going to, from my perspective, if I'm going to help someone, I need to embrace them as an entire person, not just, oh, okay, so you're the CEO or you're the vice president. Let's just talk about work. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things with stress, because you may attribute your stress and the pressure from your job, but it's everywhere. And we need to embrace
Mhm.
people as a whole person, embrace them. The other thing I believe in firmly is, I don't believe people are ever broken, right? We're not something to be fixed. We're not clocks or electronics. Um, However, we are whole beings, and sometimes we ignore pieces of ourselves and or sacrifice. That's very common from an executive. That was the one of the patterns I was in. I started working late. I started going in early. I was working in the, and what was happening, I was ignoring my home life, and that created stress. So I had a void. So when I think of a whole person, I think of filling out those voids and getting things more back in balanced in all the different areas. So we start with awareness, we start with some assessment, and that's true in the medical profession, right? First, you meet someone, you got to take the vitals, you got to know what the
Yeah,
baselines are, you have to do some
exactly.
tests, right?
Where
And
are
then
you starting from?
exactly. And then together we make a plan of action, and we institute changes. And then we have accountability. So that whole person piece, I think, is a beautiful way to embrace working alongside someone so they can make the changes in their lives that will be lasting forever. And that's how it served me.
Yeah, and I totally understand because I work from the perspective of the wheel of life,
Oh,
and you can divide that into all kinds of different ways of doing it, but you
mhm,
still have to fix that everything is there. And I have 8 pieces,
mhm.
and one of those pieces of the 8 is work.
Yes.
The rest is you, your
Yes.
private life, one way or the other. Of
Mhm,
course, the economy is one of the pieces, and that is also, of course,
mhm.
involved in your work. But it's your personal. Uh, uh, I mean, either you have economy in the business, and then that's part of your business, or you have economy in your private life, then it's part of your private life.
Yes.
And your network also goes, of course, both inside and outside the work. But work, just as you say, is just a small part of our whole being,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
we have to be content in all pieces to be whole.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So where would you like us to go next in this conversation, Dr. Annika?
Yeah, where do you want to go? Where, do you have any tips or any thoughts of how you how people, stressed out business leaders, I
Mhm,
mean, they don't have to have hit the stress wall, but starting to feel, there is something,
mhm.
because sometimes they come to me because they are feeling illness is coming on them,
Yeah.
because stress hormones induce um,
Mhm.
heart disease and diabetes and all these different kinds. So what do you think people start thinking? How will they figure out, I'm on the road to this, I don't want to be there?
Yes. And trust me,
Big
they don't,
signs,
because that's
early signs.
mhm, I agree. And again, I'm going to go on the assumption that the folks here with us are feeling those signs. That's why they showed up. So first thing is awareness. And a lot of this I'm going to share is kind of related to my personal experience. So you have the awareness, and you know that you're stressed out, and you know that there's some, I'll call them just bad habits, right? I knew my habit of staying late, it turned into staying late once in a while. And it's interesting how it's a loop. It feeds on
Mm-hmm.
itself, right? So I was getting things done. So guess what? I was given more things to get done. To get more things done, I needed to come in early. To get more things done, I needed to come on the, and it becomes this snowball effect, right? So if you have awareness that you are stressed out, one of the first things I want to advise folks is to create some boundaries between them. And we're going to assume most of this is work related, but it can also apply to home life. Create some boundaries. And it's going to be hard at first if you've already created a pattern and people have this expectation, and your identity is tied into the expectation that I'm the go-to person. I'm the one in charge. So I have to be available. I have to, I should. So create some boundaries and realize the world is not going to stop if you choose to say, my work hours are, and create work hours. It doesn't have to be just 8, but it should be reasonable. You should be able to say that that you go home at a certain time. You don't stay in the office. And when you're home, get out of the habit of checking your email and other ways that work communicates with you on your phone, on your laptop. You've doing that just perpetuates the trigger mechanism that is the stress, and it's a hard habit to break. So your boundary is my time, work time. I'm not on for work. This also helps you in your productivity and being more creative and going to sleep and getting more rest. So I would say create some boundaries. The next thing I would advise is to institute some practices that calm your system down. And one of the first things that I did, I now work out of my home, but at the time I had a long commute. So what I chose to do is I either listened to podcasts, I listened to classical music, and when I drove, I would practice my breathing, my deep breathing cycle, because my commute was stressful. It was bumper to bumper traffic, and I needed to stay alert, but I
Mm-hmm.
got out of the habit of running through my mind. When I get to the office, I've got to make sure that this report is done, that the person is following up on the phone call. And I would go through the list of things to do. And I'm like, if my commute's going to be anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes, that's my time to relax, to be ready to walk into the office. And then the third thing, and this is more recently that I've learned through some of my extra credentials and working with people, is being a leader that emulates what they need for their employees. If I was running around and coming into the office and go, is this done, and where's this, and what's that, and don't bother me, close my door, I need it, because this is the way I behaved when I was stressed, I essentially am setting a tone and an example in my office. And I got into the habit of noticing the predominantly the ladies, who were like me, and they would stay, and I'm like, why, it's after 5 o'clock, why are you, I just want to finish. And I extended grace, and I was like, well, what is it? Because sometimes there were things that had to be done,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time there wasn't. And I'm like, you know what, this can wait for the morning. I'm going to give you permission, just go ahead and wrap up, go home, spend some time with your family, don't worry about it, it'll be here for you tomorrow. And me saying that to my employees was a wonderful thing for me to hear and apply to myself. So that's, I think, in a nutshell, kind of three big scope things: um, awareness, boundaries, and changing some of your actual behaviors, and modeling for other people, because you are the leader. So be
Mm-hmm.
seen as the kind of a leader that you want to be, and you want your employees to emulate, so that when, on the assumption some of them are working their way up the executive ladder, they're going to be a highly functioning, well balanced individual, not just employee, but an individual.
Yeah, and to learn that you actually do get more done if you are rested and all that things. And I would usually also say, tell people it's about practicing doing these things, because it doesn't come from one time.
No.
And especially you talked about this with boundaries of time and so on. You can use this we have this fantastic thing today where you can set the clock at different hours. Now is
Hmm.
the time to go. So and then you know you can work all the time until it rings.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to look at your watch. Oh, what time is it now? No, you know, I've set it
Yeah.
for this time, and I can work until then, and then it's time to go. So you get these reminders, and
Yeah.
after a time, after a while, it will be more automatic.
Very good point. And I do that now. I do my reminders. They say, for instance, we all know this. There's studies that say stay focused for 20 minutes without an
Yeah,
interruption, and then take a break. I never took breaks. Again, I was the show up early, stay late, work through lunch, don't take a break. I set my alarm. It's just, it vibrates, so it's not loud, but I set it, and my watch is a smart watch, and so it vibrates, and that's a reminder, like you need to step back. And I can choose like, oh, I'm on a roll. I want to do this. This is fun versus
yeah,
okay, I just need to get up and get drink a glass of water and come
yeah,
back, right? We
exactly.
know this, but now we're at this point in our careers, we need to practice it. So we stay in that sweet spot and don't go too far to one extreme and burn ourselves out. And then we're not only we not healthy, our work environment's not healthy, the home environment's not healthy, and we never want to get to that point.
No, we need to change the subconscious so that it becomes automatic.
Yes.
And you talked about when you go by car or by train and so on. And I learned, say, 10 years ago, I never been someone who's meditating. It's just not me,
Mhm.
the long meditations.
Yes.
But I learned that this what I call the mini meditations, that you
Mhm.
repeat one word slowly to yourself.
Yeah.
And I have started to do that those last 10 years when I go by train or by bus or
Yeah.
wherever, because that's my moment of rest, to
Yes.
let my brain be free from all the other thoughts. I don't have to
Mhm.
think about work or whatever I'm going to do at home or whatever. Just sit
Right.
there, watch people, and say, release, release.
Mm.
So that's how I do it.
Yes. And you bring up a really good point, and I don't have it next to me, which is smart. Our phones are now one of the best tools we have at our disposal, or something that can help be part of our problem. And it was interesting. I was talking to someone and I made I referenced doom scrolling, and they what? And I said, yeah, it's because we've gotten accustomed to scrolling on any of the platforms, and there's a lot of negative stuff out there.
Hmm.
And it's designed to trigger a
I
physical
thought,
result.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thoughts, and then the chemicals in our brain. And I says part of it is being aware of when you're doom and we're like searching for something. And we don't even know we're looking for something. On the other hand, what I've done, and this is a great tip for everyone, our phones also have an unlimited resource of things that will help us. So you mentioned it too. For me, initially, long meditations was hard. I mean, it's a practice like anything else. I'm not particularly flexible. I love yoga. I'm not good at it. Let's just put it that way. So on YouTube, I started hunting for meditations, and I found great websites that do 5-minute guided. They say meditation. I think of them as creative visualizations, and 10-minute ones. Well, so now it is a daily practice for me, and we have headphones, so you can do this. You can
Hmm.
do this discreetly. Let's just put it
Hmm.
that way. Whether
Yeah.
you're at home, on a commute, even on the job, you deserve a 10-minute break, and you just close your eyes or go to walk, sit in your car, wherever you need to do, and put that in. It is amazing how it resets us and puts us in the right frame of mind. It's changing a thought pattern and a behavior. So the music, the meditations, the affirmations, the mantras, it's endless, and those can be free apps or just or paid apps. There's a lot of those. I've tried many, and that's the other thing. I explored until I found the ones that I'm like, I like this. I can do this. I want to do this one consistently. So if you're going to add something new on your to-do list, make it something that's going to help you be a more well-rounded full person so that you can be I loved what you said, have fun and get more done. I was like, yeah, I love that. I was getting more done, and I was not only was I not having fun, people around me weren't having fun because that's stress creates the irritability.
Yeah, because feelings are contagious, all
Yes.
feelings. And
Mhm.
if there are happy feelings or good feelings and feeling great and so on, people around you will start feeling more at ease and be
Mhm.
more upwards.
Mhm.
And if you come out and are grumpy and angry, or all those feelings,
Mhm.
people around you are going to turn angry or
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, yes, and we don't want that. That's stressful. They don't want it. Ah,
So I mean, I try to teach everyone to learn this, that you have to be aware of what you send out,
yes.
because that goes to the people around you and it will come back to you.
Yes. Yes.
And
It's
it
like a
also goes
mirror.
for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a mirror. If you walk into work and it's a stressful environment and people are stressed out, and if you are the leader, it's a mirror to potentially your leadership style. Now, it may be some external factors, and you touched on that, the environment, the economy, the time of year. Like, for instance, if you're a
Hmm.
tax professional in the United States,
Yeah.
April's coming and that's when our taxes are due, right? There are external, but hold up that mirror, have that awareness. Am I creating this environment that's stressful for myself? And what steps can I take? And sometimes we just another tip I used to do, the first weekend of every month, I set aside, because again, I was a workaholic and I worked weekends. I took like a half of a Sunday and I made it my retreat. I put it on my calendar and I didn't, that was sacred time for me. And it was my time to find fun, to relax, to journal. Because for me, finding 4 hours once a month for just me, that was a huge step. That's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to take care of ourselves first, because if
Mhm.
we are not in a good place, we're not going to be good to the people around us. So we're not going
Yes.
to be able to help. It's just like they say on the airplane,
Yeah.
put on your own oxygen mask first
Mhm.
before you
Yeah.
start helping the others. Otherwise, you will collapse. And who's going to help them? Nobody.
Yep. Yep. And I got to that point of collapse that I needed help in lots of areas because I was not managing. It was funny. I would never have said I wasn't managing my stress. I wasn't managing me and my work environment, my workload, because I was never saying no. Yeah. Oh, and
Yes.
no, that's a magic word. It is a complete sentence. That took me a long time, to not to be able to comfortably say no, no, thank you. No, that's not my role. I would love to help, but I'm afraid I can't do that. And a tip I was given was if I knew someone else had the capacity to do it, they had the skill set and potentially the time, I would say, "Oh, I'm afraid I'm not able to do that for you, but perhaps you could ask John." I would deflect, and it made it sound like because it was true. I wanted to help that person, but I wasn't the person to help them, and I needed to respect that for myself.
Yes. I
Mhm.
think that's a good ending.
Mhm.
It's time to wrap up. We have almost talked for half hour,
Yeah.
and it's time flies when you have fun. And
Yeah.
and I know that both you and I see stress as fun
Mm.
in that
Yes.
sense,
Yes.
even though it's maybe not a fun subject.
Mhm.
And many people get, "Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't want to be here if you talk about stress."
Um,
But it's been really, you've given so many great tips, and I think we had a great discussion. Is there any, just one little thing that you would say, this is the thing to do?
oh,
There are so many.
there are so many. That's exactly right. Again, I think the advice I would give is thinking to yourself, where am I now in my life? And do I want to and can I continue at this pace? And if the answer is maybe not, then reach out to someone, whether it's a physician like Dr. Annika or myself, a life coach, or someone that's going to help you. That's it. Don't do it alone. Maybe that's the magic in it. As high achievers, we got here on our own. We're very directed people. We're ambitious. You do not have to do this alone. There is strength in having people walk alongside you to help you be your best self.
Good. That's a good ending. Where do people find you?
Oh, thank you. So I made it easy. My website is my name, shawnaburkholder.com, and that's down below on the screen. The other thing is I want to offer what I call a hot sheet because I work with burnout. I have a 4-page hot sheet that people can have, and it talks about the range of different levels, phases of burnout. And just email me at shawnaburkholder.com. So my email address is the same as my website, and I'd be happy to share that with people who are wondering, well, where am I in the phases from 1 to 12? Where do I land? And then some tips about where you can go to help yourself with that. So yeah, thank you for that invitation. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for your offer because it's very much needed in today. And thank you for the tip. And I guess this is all for now. But please go back and listen to the recording of this discussion if you want, and you can listen as many times as you want because you want to get it all, and to previous episodes, and of course to the ones that will come in the future. So thanks for now and keep smiling.